Dan Illman, Mike Beer taking a look at race number 9 at Churchill Downs on Saturday evening. This race is the Grade 3 Lukas Classic. We'll throw up the field. They're going a mile and an eighth. $250,000 is the purse. Quip is your 5-2 morning line favorite. Quip, winner of the Oaklawn Handicap earlier this year, just missed in the Stephen Foster. We'll talk about his recent non-effort in the Pacific Classic because, boy, that was a dud. But before we get to that, I do want to throw up the Timeform U.S. pace projector for this race. We know Quip's fast, and he's probably going to be out there among the early leaders. Pioneer Spirit, I don't think necessarily needs the lead, but you know he's going to be close. And there are stalkers like Silver Dust and Mosito Rojo. This pace is going to be fair.
Yeah, I think with a big field like this, maybe they won't be blazing up front, but I'd be surprised if they were just walking on the lead.
Now, a big pace would help Hawak, and he's a cool horse. He's 9 years old. He's banked over $1 million. He's kind of done it the hard way. He's been campaigning in graded stakes races now since, what, 2016? His big signature win came in the Razorback over a wet track when he just got a perfect inside trip on an inside favoring day at Oaklawn. But he still can run a little bit, as evidenced by his most recent race at Churchill for 62.5 when he came with a run. It's just that with his running style, he needs pace and race luck.
Yeah, he does. He actually got another one of those nice inside trips last time where he saved all the ground, rallied up the rail. They were going a pretty good clip in that race, too. So a lot of things went his way. And he ran his race. He just missed by a head. If he catches a big pace, he can get a piece of this.
Ken McPeek's always been very high on the 2 Blue Ridge Traveler. He placed in the Spiral Stakes as a 3-year-old, and then he got hurt, and he missed most of the major 3-year-old stakes races. It looked like they were getting him back onto the beam last year at 4 with a win at Sam Houston. I like the placement. They were giving him some confidence boosters, and then he missed a year of racing. His most recent start, he came from out of it to beat Hawakam. It was a nice performance. Does A, it worry you that they dangled him in for the 62.5, and B, did you think that race kind of fell apart?
It was a good pace in the race. What I liked about his performance there is while he did get a good trip away from it, he wasn't, totally outrun like Hawakam was. He was sort of in mid-pack, keeping the leaders in range, and he was very game to get it done in that race. I thought he ran well last time. Obviously, he has to take a big step forward off of that race. But as you say, this horse had, at one point, had a lot of potential, and I think this distance is a really good one for him.
I think it's also good for the 3 Big Dollar Bill, who returned off a lengthy layoff at Ellis Park in that 1.5 turn mile configuration. And Mr. Darcy and Mr. Freeze are running earlier on the Saturday evening card in the ACAC. And they basically just controlled the race throughout on the front end. There was no closing going on. I just think the pace held up, and Big Dollar Bill probably needed the race to boot. He is a stakes winner going long. He actually might want a little bit longer than this distance, but he probably needed that race, and he has an excuse.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. He's a horse I definitely want to be using in this race at a price because I think the added ground helps him. And second off the layoff, he almost has to take a step forward.
Listen, Quip obviously has races that can win this. The Oaklawn Handicap, the neck defeat at the hooves of Seeking the Soul and the Stephen Foster. I have no idea what happened in the Pacific Classic. He made the front. It looked like he was going a pretty nice, easy pace. He was pressured by the winner at the 3/8 pole, and Quip called it quits. It was a bad performance for him, and I just don't want to take him off a lousy effort at a short price.
Right. To me, he's the kind of horse who I know that he can win. I wouldn't totally leave him out, but boy, I don't think I'd be betting him to win at a short price in this race. He was bad last time. I suspect he's going to run better in this race, Dan, but I still don't want too short a price on him.
Sir Anthony might be one of the better closers in this race at a big price. You remember he pulled off that big upset over Audible in the Grade 3 Harlan's Holiday over a sloppy track where he was able to save ground every step of the way. He won the Cornhusker at 1 mile and an eighth 2 starts back, making this big 5-wide early move on the turn and eventually wore those horses down. And last time out in the West Virginia Governor's Cup, I mean, Silver Dust and Kukulkan kind of were up close to the pace, and maybe Sir Anthony just didn't have anything to run at.
Yeah, maybe not. He didn't run his best race last time, but his race 2 back was actually a pretty good one. If he can get back to something like that, I guess it would give him a chance, at least for a piece in here. I can't say I love this horse, Dan, but he did run pretty well 2 back.
Little class relief's going to help the 6'10" fold who won the Pimlico Special at 1.25 miles 3 back when that pace really came apart. They ran him in the Foster and Quip handled him easily. They ran him in the Pacific Classic. He turned the tables on Quip, but he was still beaten 10 lengths by higher power. This distance, this class level, it works for tenfold. Again, with his running style, he's going to need some help.
Yeah, he is. It's interesting because he was, a pretty good 3-year-old, I thought, and I really did think he had a chance to take a big step forward this year. I'm not so sure that he's done it yet. I thought his Pimlico Special was good. But boy, did he get a great setup and a great ride that day, and sort of took advantage. And other than that, I'm not so sure he's really improved this year.
You have to respect anything Brad Cox throws out on the track these days. Pioneer spirit, coming off a win at Indiana Grand, going 1 mile and 70 yards. He went right to the front. He controlled the pace. He showed a lot of heart to beat back the challenges of both Silver Dust and Kukulkan. He is a very admirable horse. He's very consistent. I just am not sure about the 1 1/8 miles, especially if he gets pushed on the lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the 1 1/8 miles in a fairly run race either. Although, listen, he's one of those horses, if you leave him in the mix in the stretch, he is going to fight you all the way. He's a real courageous horse. I'm a huge fan of his. I don't know if I'll be betting him in here, Dan, unless he was some kind of big price, but he's actually pretty good. This horse is underrated.
Mexican superstar Kukulkan has won 15 of 18. Most of those wins came in his homeland, but he has acquitted himself quite nicely when placed in the right spots here in the States. Third in the Schaefer 2 starts back, a race in which he was pretty much 3-4 wide throughout, and I thought he was trying real hard. Pioneer Spirit just had the jump and the pace edge on him that day. I like the he showed a little bit more speed last time out in the West Virginia Governor's Cup. He's rock solid. I just need him to take a slight step forward, but he could be right there with the right trip.
I don't disagree. His last 2 races are both pretty good, and he showed more tactical speed last time. He could fall into a nice trip in this race.
I feel the same way about Silver Dust that I do about Pioneer Spirit as it pertains to distance. I'm very concerned about the 1 1/8 miles with this horse, but he's also a very consistent horse like Pioneer Spirit that just seems to show up and fire every time, and he has the tactical speed to get good trips, as he did last time out in the West Virginia Governor's Cup, where he basically just sat off the 2 leaders on the outside, took over in the stretch, and fought off Kukulkan and next out turf winner Snapper Sinclair. I think that trip is available to him here, and I think he's going to be looming boldly at the top of the lane. The question is, who's going to get that final 16th of a mile?
That's what I worry about with him too, the 9 furlongs. He's won a couple of graded stakes already this year, though, and I'm with you. I think he's going to fall into a nice trip here. I'm a big fan of this horse.
Mosito Rojo's won 16 of 24, including 4 in a row, and he just runs wherever you place him. Doesn't matter if it's a graded stakes race at Lone Star, or if Evangeline, or at Remington Park. He shows up. He can win on the lead. He can win from off of the pace. I know you liked him last time out in the Governor's Cup. He did better with those horses with a determined rally. And he's tactical as well. He's going to have to overcome this outside post. Gerard Melanson's going to have to figure something out because there are kind of tactical horses inside of him. Maybe they'll take him back and work something out from mid-pack this time.
Yeah, it's all about trip for him, but I think this is a race he actually fits pretty well in. Drawing post 10's no bargain, but he can win this race. I'm using this horse.
This is a really evenly matched race. Let's take a look at our top selections, Mike. You like Blue Ridge Travel in here. This horse is 12-1 on the morning line.
Yeah, I just, more than anything else, I wanted a price in this race, Dan, where I just feel like it's kind of wide open and trips are going to be very important here. I'm going to give this horse to take a step forward here, 3rd off the layoff. But yeah, I think there are a lot of different ways to go here. I went 2, 4, 10, and 3.
Silver Dust, the 9, 6-1 on the morning line. I think there's a good chance he could be either in front or battling for the lead, turning into the stretch, and I'll be screaming wire then for him. I know he's going to come with a good, serious, consistent effort. It's all about distance for him. You're going with the 2. I'm going Silver Dust, 9, 8, 7, 6 for me in the Grade 3 Lukas Classic, the second of 2 graded stakes races on Churchill Downs on Saturday evening. This one has a post time of 10:11 Eastern. Good luck.